President Biden is the latest in a long list of political heavyweights hitting the campaign trail for Virginia's Democratic gubernatorial candidate, Terry McAuliffe. Now, the latest polling shows McAuliffe's neck and neck with Republican Glenn Youngkin. And with just days until election, Democrats are hoping to pull ahead by energizing voters to reject Trumpism.
Virginia, you know Terry. You know his record. He was a great governor. If you re-elect him again, he'll be another 4 years as a great governor. But look, how well do you know Terry's opponent? Well, just remember this. I ran against Donald Trump. And Terry is running against an acolyte of Donald Trump.
And one of the ways experts are saying we're seeing Trumpism play out in this race, the issue of education, which the Washington Post indicates has turned into a fight over teaching Toni Morrison's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel, Beloved. And joining me now is Kristal Knight. She's a political and social impact strategist. Welcome back to BNC Live. Kristal, it's a pleasure to have you. So Toni Morrison's book, receiving criticism from the Youngkin camp and Dems trolling Youngkin by passing out copies of the book at a rally for McAuliffe. Clearly, this is becoming a racial dog whistle, or is it more of a foghorn? Where does it lie now?
Well, really, this is a culture war that the Youngkin campaign is waging in the state of Virginia. We first saw it with critical race theory and education. There's a big education debate, and now it's come down to the book by Pulitzer Prize winning author Toni Morrison, Beloved. This is something that has been taught in many AP classes, high school classes throughout the country. And I think the thing that is really sticking with me here is that the parent who complained about their child reading this book, their child is a senior in high school. And so if you're taking an AP course in high school as a senior, that's basically the equivalent of a college course. And so if you have a challenge with a child reading a book at the high school level, then what are you going to do at the collegiate level? And so really, this isn't something that belongs in a gubernatorial race or even debate. But because the state has been waged in this culture war, we see things like this happening right now in the news.
Well, speaking of this culture war, some experts are basically saying that McAuliffe handed the race over to Youngkin when he made a comment about parents shouldn't be getting involved in what their child's teacher is teaching in the classroom. Is that when this all shifted?
That's actually when we saw a big shift in the race, and that's when we saw the Youngkin campaign begin using McAuliffe's words really against him. Unfortunately, McAuliffe did make some errors in what he was stating, and then from there we've seen national Democratic surrogates coming into the state campaigning on behalf of McAuliffe to make sure that the Democrats do turn out and to make sure that we bring home a W for this important state of Virginia. But it's important to underscore that some of the comments that McAuliffe made, they're flip-flop. They're hypocritical around this education debate about having parents be involved in their child's education. And so that's something that his campaign has to fight back against.
All right, so President Biden joining that long list of A-listers, better yet, A-list Democrats, coming to Virginia to help McAuliffe basically try to take this win home. President Biden now getting involved. I mean, are they concerned that they could lose this race? I mean, is that the ultimate big gun, or was it former President Barack Obama?
Well, I think what we see with surrogates, and there's a surrogate program that's run on many of campaigns across the country. What the McAuliffe campaign is trying to ensure is that they make sure they bring home a W, they bring home a win. And so it's not unusual, particularly, the president is literally right here, right outside of Virginia, Northern Virginia. And so it's not a stretch for him as a sitting member, a sitting president to go and campaign, particularly to a state that's so close. And Virginia is an important state for the Democratic map when you think about presidential maps in the midterms that are coming up next year. So really, we shouldn't see it as, something as a worry, but we should see it as this is traditionally what Democratic, candidates do. They bring in top name, top ticket Democrats across the country to help them campaign. And then when the race is as close as this race is, it's only natural that they would have folks like, former President Barack Obama or Stacey Abrams or Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms and even the sitting president to come and stump for them.
Well, there are reports that McAuliffe is starting to get nervous, and he's basically phoning the president saying, hey, I need you to get this Build Back Better agenda passed so I have something to actually run on. What do you know about that?
Well, that is a sticking point, not only with McAuliffe, but other, there's a Democratic gubernatorial race, or there's a race happening in New Jersey as well. And hopefully the Democrats are able to bring that win home. But I think what McAuliffe is saying, and that's what many of Americans across the country are saying, is what's going on with this agenda? What's going on with the promises that this administration made to its base? And so if I'm a voter in the state of Virginia and I'm looking at this gubernatorial race and I'm a Democratic voter, I'm thinking, what has the party done for me lately? Voting rights, the policing reform bill, this infrastructure package that has been reduced from 6.5 trillion down to 1.5 trillion. Those are real things that are on the forefront of many voters' minds. And so it's helpful if the administration does its job. So then candidates can go out and campaign on a strong agenda and message that has happened on behalf of them.
Well, speaking of voters asking, what have you done for me lately? It seems like they're trying to target Black voters this time around. I mean, bringing out Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, bringing out Stacey Abrams, bringing out former President Barack Obama. And I'm also hearing that Pharrell is supposed to also be campaigning for McAuliffe right before election. What are your thoughts on that? When yet and still, we're waiting for key campaign issues to be passed on the federal level and nothing yet.
Well, that's a great question. And I think it's a real, challenge that the Democratic Party is going to have to face. The Black vote is very critical to this party. We saw it earlier this year in Georgia with the election of Ossoff and Warnock. And so it's absolutely going to be critical in McAuliffe's race as well. But ultimately, the administration has to answer to the voters who put them in position to lead. And so McAuliffe will also have to answer to the Black voters that he's going out and courting on behalf of his campaign right now. But again, it does not help his race or any Democrat that's running now or even into the future if the administration doesn't do what it said it would do. One of the major wins right now has been the child tax credits, and that's great. But what about, voting rights? If voting rights isn't passed, then the same voters who came out in January and came out last year to vote for this administration may not be able to vote come 2022 November because of the disenfranchisement rules and legislation that is being passed in states like Georgia, in states like Texas. And so this is very critical not only to this election right now, but it's critical to the democracy of this country moving forward.
All right, Kristal, with this race being so tight, I mean, it's neck and neck at this point. And when you factor in margin of error, they're literally tied. What do they both need to do to differentiate themselves? I mean, we're now days out before election. How do they stand apart?
Well, I think what they have to do is to hone in on whatever message it is that their campaigns have been running and make a clear distinction from the past and right now, the present. One of the things that the McAuliffe campaign has been stating is that we don't want to turn into a Texas where we see Governor Abbott, really turning back the hands on a lot of the progressive legislation and things that have been in place in that state. And then on the Youngkin campaign, he has to make a distinction that he is not a close ally of Donald Trump. But having folks like Steve Bannon call into his campaign headquarters or rallies, that doesn't help his cause. And so both of them have to really decide what their message is to voters these last 4 critical days during GOTV, and really make sure that they're turning out every single person in their base and convincing the independent voters who are still on the fringe thinking about who they'll vote for.
All right, Kristal Knight, thanks for joining us.